We're going to show you how to change the seals out in a B-Series actuator. We've got a BO85 for reference today, and what you'll need to change the seals out is you'll need a seal kit. We have a kit here that has seals in it. You can get it in low temperature, standard temperature, or a high temperature seal kit. We also have a kit that if it's required, we have a hardware kit. It includes the end cap bolts, all the hard seals, and the travel stops. But today what we're going to do is we're going to show how to take the actuator apart and replace the soft seals in the actuator. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to, after we've got the actuator on the bench, of course this is a new actuator here, but if you'll be replacing the seals, you're going to be replacing them in a actuator that's been in service. First thing we're going to do is we're going to actually cycle the actuator. This is a double acting actuator, and so what we want to do is we want to put air on the right port with the actuator facing you. We're going to put air to it. We're going to cycle the actuator counterclockwise or open, and we'll put air to the left port, which will cycle the actuator back to the clockwise position. Okay, once we've done that, what we're going to do first is over here on the left side, we've got our inward travel stop. We're going to take the nut off of that travel stop, and it's got a rubber O-ring underneath the washer here. So we're going to take this travel stop and we're going to drive it all the way in the actuator, all the way through the end cap until you can feel a little bit of a push on it, and you can tell that it's completely out of the end cap. All right, once we get that travel stop all the way in, then we're going to take the end cap off. We'll take all 4 bolts out. All right, we've got all 4 bolts out of the end cap. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take a little bit of a screwdriver here and just tap just a little bit with a little rubber hammer. You can see the end cap starting to come off. You just pop it loose and pop the end cap out. All right. Now we'll turn the actuator around to the other end. This here is the outward travel stop. We're going to take the nut off of it just because there's an O-ring behind it that keeps air from leaking out past the travel stop. We'll take this off, and then we'll run it in. Actually, we're going to back it out, completely out. We'll get the O-ring off of it, and then we'll take the, all right, at this point we're going to take the end cap bolts off of this end. Alright, we got all 4 bolts out of the end cap. Do the same thing, we'll tap it a little bit and we'll pop the end cap off. Alright, now that we've got the end caps off of it, we want to take a adjustable wrench. We'll put on the pinion and we'll rotate it counterclockwise around until you get to looking at it from the air side, you look like you're about 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock. 2 to 8, 2 to 7, something like that. And then you're going to take and you can grab this inward travel stop piston, wiggle it a little bit, it comes right out of the actuator. Now on the other piston, what you want to do is you want to take something with a little bit of length to it, and right in here on the end of the piston right next to the pinion, you want to take and stick the wrench or wrench handle or something like that up there. Just tap it a little bit and the piston will come out the other end. All right, Now the next thing we want to do is we want to take the pinion out. So we'll take some snap ring pliers. We'll pop the snap ring up and off. We'll pull, there's a metal washer there and then a little plastic washer. And then you have a O-ring there that mounts on top of the body. So now what we can do is we'll just tap on the pinion just a little bit. And the pinion will come out the bottom of the actuator. So now we have the actuator completely disassembled. And just to show where some of the replaceable parts are, again, you've got a O-ring here in the top that'll have to come out. On the pinion, you've got O-ring here on the top of the pinion, and then you have an O-ring down here on the bottom of the pinion, and you have a wear bearing here on the bottom of the pinion. On the pistons, both pistons are the same. On the soft kit, you've got the O-ring here, the black O-ring, that'll be replaced. And also on the other pinion, got the black O-ring that'll need to be replaced. And then on the end caps, you've got a seal O-ring on it, on both of those, here and here. And you've also got a smaller O-ring right here in both end caps. This is for the air travel. You'll need to make sure that those O-rings get replaced. All right, so we've got our actuator completely apart. We need to make sure if this actuator has been in service and getting a seal kit, you want to make sure all your surfaces for your O-rings are clean. The inside of the actuator is clean, and we've got our O-ring kit out here with all of our O-rings that's going to be replaced. Just a note, the end cap O-rings and the piston O-rings, they are the same size, so there's no reason that any one of those O-rings can't be used on the piston or the end cap. The grease that we're going to use today to put this back together, being this is a standard acting actuator, is a roll call Sapphire low temp. We use this grease in our low temp actuators and our standard actuators. If it's a high temp actuator, we use a roll call Sapphire Premier grease. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take the O-ring that goes in the body, and we're going to put it in place here, and then we're going to take the O-rings that go on the pistons. We'll put this wear band back on there, and we'll take the O-rings that go on the pinion back in the pinion here. All right, we've got those back in. And then we want to probably put a little grease on them. All right, so we want to take our grease, and we want to put some grease around on the splines of the pinion here. And we'll put a little grease on the O-rings, make sure they're lubricated. All right, then we want to take the body, and we'll set it over to the top of the pinion. We'll get it lined up and just push it down. As you can see, after the pinion goes in, it's flush with the bottom of the actuator body. All right, then we'll take our plastic washer and our metal washer. We'll set it back over the top. And then we'll take our ring, and we'll take our snap ring pliers, and we'll just open it up, slide it down till it snaps in the groove. Snaps in the groove of the pinion. All right, so we've got that done. So at this point, we'll put our pinion back at the 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock position on the actuator. Now what we want to do is we want to take and we want to put our O-rings on our pistons. So we'll put a little grease on the O-rings, and then we'll slide them over the end of the pinion. And into the groove. Now what we'll do is we'll take this pinion here. This piston here is our piston that goes on what I would call the right side of the actuator. So we've got our actuator and we're looking at our airports. This piston here, without the travel stop in it, goes on the right side, and the teeth will go on from the end here, will go on the left side of the actuator. We'll put it in like this right here, and then we'll get it lined up. And yeah, these two ribs right here, if you line those up with your bolt hole here and here, then you've got your piston in the correct position. We'll take that, we'll take a little rubber mallet, we'll tap it down till it's about even with the end of the actuator. We'll flip it over, put our O-ring grease on, and then we'll take the O-ring and put it on the piston. And this here's the piston with the inward travel stop on it. So we want to put it in. You want to have the teeth on the piston to go to the left side again. If you're looking at it straight up and down, these teeth will go on the left side, which is opposite of your other piston. So we want to set it down in. Same thing, we get our ribs here lined up with our bolts, and we're ready for it to go in. So we'll put a little pressure on it, let it slide down in. All right, now that we've got our pistons setting, what we'll do is we'll tap them in a little bit till they make contact with our pinion. And then we'll take and we'll rotate our pinion clockwise from this point here. It's gonna, when you rotate it, it's gonna pull the pistons in. You can see that our pinion, looking at it from the airport side, our pinion's just a little bit off to the body, which it's normally going to be because your travel stops are going to take up that little bit. The next thing you want to do is you want to take a screwdriver or something, stick it in, mark where your piston's at, go to the other side, and check it and make sure that your pistons are in the same depth. If they're in the same depth, then you're good to go. If not, you want to back the pinion back out and take the pistons and reset them again and try again. Those pistons have to be the same distance for the actuator to work right. All right, now what we'll do is we'll take our right hand or our left hand end cap, and we'll put an O-ring on the outside of it. And then we want to take one of the little small air O-rings, put in here. And then we'll take our other end cap and we'll put grease on the O-ring of it, snap it on the end cap. And we'll take one of the smaller O-rings and we'll put in this spot right here. So on the end caps, they are a mirror image of each other, so the wrong end cap is not going to fit on the wrong end. If you take here, this is the airport. This end cap here, if we turn it over to go on, you see the airport's going the opposite side of the airport on the actuator. So this end cap's the wrong for this end here. So we'll take this end cap here. We take it, we flip it over, you can see the O-ring here is going to match up with the airport on this side of the actuator. We'll set the end cap on. We're going to take our bolts. We'll get all 4 bolts started. If you're using an air tool, it's best to start these by hand, just to make sure they get started straight. We've got that one started. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our air wrench. You want to run these bolts in slow because they're stainless on aluminum. And as you see, use the two opposing screws to pull the end cap down, and then you tighten the other two up. So you've got the end cap on and got it tight. We'll flip the actuator over. We'll put the other end cap on. Do the same thing. We'll tighten the two opposing screws down, get them right down next to the end cap. See, pull it down a little. And we've got the end cap seated down, and we'll tighten the other two up. These end cap screws don't need to be over torqued. Basically, they're just going to hold their static bolts, holding the static seal on the end caps in place. All right, now what we're going to do is, back with the actuator in this position here, we're going to take and we're going to put the right hand or the outward travel stop back in the end cap. We're going to take it, and you want to start it, and you just want to run it in, not all the way, but just run it in pretty close there, enough that you can get the travel stop O-ring on the shaft. You want to take your metal washer and put back over it. Without that metal washer, the nut won't push that O-ring into the groove. So you want to make sure you got your metal washer back on there. Okay, got that started. Now what we'll do is we'll take and back the counterclockwise or the outward travel stop. I'm sorry, inward travel stop. We want to pull it out through the piston a little bit. And then we want to use it, you'll turn it until your pinion gets straight or gets 90 degrees on your actuator. So it's going to pull your pinion around or pull your piston out. So we're straight now. What we want to do is put our O-ring on. Put our O-ring on this travel stop with the washer, metal washer, and our nut. Now, this travel stop here sets our clockwise position. If you have to make any adjustments, you want to put air and get the pinion in the clockwise position and make your adjustment on your travel stop. In your counterclockwise position, this travel stop here is the one that sets that travel. So what we'll do now is we'll put air to the right port, and this is going to rotate it counterclockwise or to the open position. All right, we're rotate it. You can see it's off some. So you want to take the air off of it, and then what you want to do is back this travel stop out some. Put air back to it. You can see it moved a little bit more. We want to back it out just a hair bit more. And we've got our travel stops where our pinion's straight. Now what you want to do while you got air on it is you want to tighten this nut up to where that travel stop won't move. All right, so that travel stop set. So now we'll take our air and we'll put it on the left port, which is our clockwise travel for the double acting actuator. All right, now we've got our pinion straight, and what we want to do is we'll tighten the nut up on it while we have air supply on it. That'll keep pressure against the travel stop and keep it from turning while you're tightening it up. All right, now that we've got all the seals and stuff in it, you should be good to go.